Priscila Cachoeira caught a lot of heat recently for what she has described as an unintentional eye gouge in her fight against Gillian Robertson. Commentators and fans around the world were left disgusted at what the Brazilian had done, and there were even calls to cut her from the promotion, as Robertson could easily have lost vision in the eye. Today, we're discussing Cachoeira's apology, plus other bits and pieces from the world of MMA. First up, what exactly happened? After Cachoeira missed weight for her UFC 269 bout with Canada's Gillian Robertson, weighing in 3 pounds over the limit, it was decided the fight would take place at a catch weight of 129. The fight didn't get out of the first round, and the Brazilian, who also has losses to world champ Valentina Shevchenko, Liverpool fighter Molly McCann, and fellow Brazilian Luana Carolina in the UFC, really didn't get going. Cachoeira was also on the receiving one of the worst mismatches in UFC history during her bout with Shevchenko. And although she appeared to be on the way back up after losing her first 3 UFC bouts, Robertson was not messing around, and once the fight got to the floor, the Canadian showed her dominance. As Robertson was attempting to finish the fight via rear naked choke, Pedrita panicked and jammed her thumb into the eye of Robertson. She clearly knew what she was doing too, as she can be seen fishing around for the eye. The stunt could have had long-lasting effects for Robertson, and they only have to look at someone like Michael Bisping, who lost an eye to the sport, to understand how dangerous something like that can be. There really is no excuse for that sort of behavior, and we're not surprised there were calls for her to be banned from the sport. Robertson eventually locked in the choke for the win, thankfully. What do you think of Cachoeira's antics? Not cool. I'm sure you'll agree. Next up, we're looking at the Brazilian's apology. Stay with us. First of all, Cachoeira should have been apologizing for the missed weight, but I guess we can't have everything. She explained that she was battling flu and fever in the build-up to the UFC 269 bout, but decided to take the fight anyway. She was recently asked about the fight and said that first and foremost, she was angry at being taken down, before denying that she attempted the eye gouge on purpose. This doesn't sound like the beginning of a great apology, Patricia. The zombie girl went on to say, "It wasn't my intention to gouge her eye when she was on my back. I didn't know it was going in the direction of her eye. My intention was to go for her neck and push it. That was my intention, but I was desperate. Almost snoring, and it's a matter of survival, right? I want to get it off, but it wasn't my intention to hit her eyes. Never. Come on. We all saw you fishing for the eye. Just admit it, right?" She went on to say that she was a professional and has already apologized to Robertson in person and on the gram. I mean, we all know it doesn't count if it doesn't go on social media, am I right? She ended the conversation with old "I'll be back stronger" cliche. Do you guys think she was making a legitimate attempt for the net? Maybe, but we highly doubt it. So what was the reaction like? Stick around to find out. The reaction online was pretty damning for Cachoeira, and many fans and professionals alike were calling for her to be cut from the promotion, which we kind of find it hard to disagree with after endangering her opponent in that manner. In this conversation with Marlon Chito Vera on his JRE podcast, UFC color commentator Joe Rogan was clearly disgusted with Pedrita's behavior and made his feelings known in no uncertain terms. The comedian said she should be cut from the promotion immediately, and Vera, who also recently beat UFC legend Frankie Edgar via front kick KO, agreed with it. I mean, it's hard not to, right? Twitter also had a field day ripping into Cachoeira with a who's who of the fight game questioning the Brazilian being allowed to stay with the promotion. MMA ref Keith Peterson tweeted that Cachoeira must have learned those tactics from DC, after the heavyweight was known for his use of the dark arts. Cheeky. There were a whole host of other tweets from the MMA world, most showing their disgust for Cachoeira's tactics and joy at the fact that Robertson still managed to strangle her. Cachoeira replied to these comments by saying she would go away and fix her mistakes before apologizing and reiterating that it'll not happen again. I mean, surely this is last chance saloon given her 2-4 record in the UFC. What are your thoughts? Should she be cut? Some other UFC news now, starting with Big John and Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis, owner of the best Instagram account on the whole of the the internet sent Chris Dawkins into a different dimension on Saturday night at the headline fight of UFC Vegas 45. The win moved him back into title contention and improved his record to 26-8, one no contest. Many people see Lewis as the next in line to a shot at the title, having already fought for it twice before, once against Cormier and again against Cyril Gane in the interim fight. Someone who wasn't particularly impressed with Lewis's win or the idea of him getting another crack at the title was former UFC ref Big John McCarthy, who called him a gatekeeper. McCarthy referenced his previous losses in title fights as justification as to why he shouldn't be given a third shot, before saying, "Look, he can fight, he's tough, he's got a certain aspects of the fighting game that he's incredibly powerful at. His ground and pound is mean." There are those who think McCarthy's comments might come across as a little harsh, as there are certainly other fighters who have taken time to adapt to the very top of the game. Just look at current lightweight champ Charles Oliveira, who has had his fair share of defeats in the UFC, but it has all recently come together for him. And then there's Michael Bisping, the perennial gatekeeper of the middleweight division, who took gold when his chance came against Luke Rockhold. Some Chael Sonnen news now. Stick around. King of the trash talk before Conor McGregor was even a thing, Chael Sonnen was arrested in Vegas this past weekend after apparently being involved in a brawl at a hotel. He was given 5 misdemeanor citations after banging on the door of a hotel room, which drew the attention of passersby, who decided to challenge one of the toughest guys the UFC has ever seen. Silly move. Sonnen was said to have been easily handling the man before all hell broke loose. Paramedics were called to the scene, but it was unclear if they had to treat anyone or just Sonnen's knuckles. John Jones, who for years was Sonnen's nemesis in the promotion and himself no stranger to law enforcement, decided to goad his former foe, saying, "Chael Sonnen, I'm not going to sit here and celebrate you getting battery charges against a female last night. That would make me like you. I'm nothing like you. Instead, I will wish your family well. I wish the victim's family well." It's unclear if Jones was being sincere, but we would tend to think not. Maybe he should look at himself before getting involved in other people's affairs. What do you guys think? Let us know below. We're talking Jake Paul and Jorge Masvidal next. Stay tuned for this. Annoyingly for a lot of fight fans, Jake Paul continued his rise in the boxing world this past Saturday with a brutal knockout of former welterweight king Tyron Woodley. The chosen one was sent to the canvas in brutal fashion following a huge right hand from the former YouTube sensation. This ensured that Paul's name is still on the lips of boxing and fight fans everywhere, but people are wondering who's going to tackle him next. One name that's been thrown around is UFC middleweight Jorge Masvidal, who himself was flatlined by Kamaru Usman back in April and has not been out since. Paul himself was the one to call out Jorge, who was known as a vicious bare-knuckle boxer before he started fighting professionally. And if he was to get past Masvidal, that'd be another feather in his cap. Paul also goaded UFC fighter Nate Diaz, who's known for his boxing skills, but is significantly smaller than Paul. So we don't think this one would be likely to happen, but the Masvidal fight easily could. Paul offered Gamebred $5 million plus PPV sales to fight him in 2022, but it would all depend on whether Dana White could be convinced to let Masvidal out of his UFC contract. We're sure he could if the money was right. At the moment, $5 million isn't right for Masvidal, who encouraged the ex-Disney star to try again, quoting his price at closer to $20 million, which would guarantee Uncle Dana gets his cut too. What do you guys think? As always, thanks for tuning in today, and remember to join us next time. Why not share this video with any UFC fan friends you might have lurking on those socials? Bye, guys.